Prepare for 100,000 to die. Tony Fauci warns of astonishing death toll and tells areas not on lockdown to take action now, as Donald Trump says next 2 weeks will be very painful and White House reveals even worse projections. Dr. Tony Fauci painted a grim picture for Americans on Tuesday, warning that people should be prepared for 100,000 deaths from the coronavirus. The answer is yes, as sobering a number as that is, we should be prepared for it, he said when asked about the six-figure mark during the daily White House press briefing. Is it going to be that much? I hope not, and I think the more we push on the mitigation the less likely to be that number, but, being realistic, we need to prepare ourselves that is a possibility that's what we'll see. The White House projected 100,000 to 240,000 deaths in the U.S. if current social distancing guidelines are maintained. Fauci used the figures to urge people to stick to social distancing guidelines of 6 feet of separation. Whenever you're having an effect, it's not time to take your foot off the accelerator, and on the brake, but to just press it down on the accelerator, Fauci, the director of the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases, said of mitigation efforts. The 15 days that we've had of mitigation clearly are having an effect, he noted. He said such efforts could also help damage any potential second wave of illness. We hope that doesn't happen, and that is why we are really pushing and why I was so emphatic about making sure we abide by those mitigation strategies, he said. President Donald Trump said the prediction was sobering and called efforts to spread the slow of the coronavirus a matter of life and death. It's absolutely critical for the American people to follow the guidelines for the next 30 days, it's a matter of life and death, frankly, the president said. I want every American to be prepared for the hard days that lie ahead. We're going through a very tough few weeks. And, hopefully, as the experts have predicted, as a lot of us are predicting having studied it so hard, going to start seeing some real light at the end of the tunnel, and this is going to be a very painful 2 weeks, he noted. It was a stark change in tone for President Trump, who last week sounded a note of hope the crisis would be over in the next few weeks. Now his administration is preparing Americans for tougher times to come. The grim prognosis came as Americans are enduring school closures, work-from-home orders, and social lives on hold. The prediction also came after the number of Americans who died from the coronavirus surpassed the number of Americans killed in the September 11 attacks. To help its mitigation plan, President Trump extended his administration's recommendations to slow the spread of virus from 15 days until the end of April. The guidelines urged Americans to end social gatherings over the number of 10, work from home, and order takeout. Trump's announcement Sunday that those recommendations would be extended until April 30 was an abrupt reversal after he spent much of last week saying he'd like to see limitations lifted by Easter, which is April 12. Many states and local governments already have stiffer controls in place to enforce social distancing. But through all the tough talk of days to come, there were some glimmers of hope. If all of the other states and all the other metro areas are able to hold that case number down, then it's a very different picture, said Dr. Deborah Birx, who is coordinating the administration's day-to-day response to the disease. We're going to do everything we can to get it significantly below that, she said. Fauci agreed. We don't accept that number, that's what it's going to be. We're going to do everything we can to get that number even below that, he said. The U.S. death toll from the coronavirus climbed past 3,600 Tuesday, eclipsing China's official count, as hard-hit New York City rushed to bring in more medical professionals and ambulances and parked refrigerated morgue trucks on the streets to collect the dead. At least 3,669 people in the U.S. have died from the deadly virus, according to data collected by the Johns Hopkins University. The global benchmark reports that 3,309 people have died from the virus in China, where the global pandemic originated. Fears that the U.S. is on track to become the new Italy, whose healthcare system has buckled under the weight of the pandemic, are fast becoming a reality. Italy has recorded more deaths, with 12,428 as of Tuesday afternoon. However, the U.S. has far surpassed its number of confirmed cases, with the U.S. reaching 181,099 to Italy's 105,792. The mounting crisis hit close to home for New York State Governor Andrew Cuomo, who reported teary-eyed that his brother, CNN anchor Chris Cuomo, had tested positive for the virus. The governor pronounced the disaster unlike any other the city has weathered. This is ongoing and the duration itself is debilitating and exhausting and depressing. New York was the nation's deadliest hot spot, with about 1,550 deaths statewide, most of them in New York City, which braced for things to get much worse in the coming weeks. A 1,000-bed emergency hospital set up at the Mammoth Javits Convention Center began taking non-coronavirus patients to help relieve the city's overwhelmed health system. A Navy hospital ship with 1,000 beds that arrived on Monday was expected to begin accepting patients on Tuesday. The indoor tennis center that is the site of the U.S. Open tournament is being turned into a hospital as well. The city also worked to bring in 250 out-of-town ambulances and 500 paramedics to deal with a crush of emergency calls. The fire commissioner said ambulances are responding to double their normal daily total of 3,000 calls to 911. A 5-day stretch last week was the busiest in the history of the city's emergency services operation. In addition, New York authorities sought to bring on more volunteer healthcare professionals and hope to have them on board by Thursday. Nearly 80,000 former nurses, doctors and others are said to be stepping forward, and the governor said officials are doing background checks for disciplinary actions and otherwise making sure they are fit for duty. As for Chris Cuomo, the 49-year-old TV newsman tweeted that he has suffered from fever, chills and shortness of breath and will be doing his shows from his basement, where he has quarantined himself. Thank you for watching our video. Please show your support by subscribing to our channel and turn on the notification. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook and Reddit for more videos.